Most people think success in music comes down to talent alone. Travis shows there's a completely different approach behind it. In this episode, he breaks down how he turned his experience as a professional musician into a content-driven business, what actually makes music content perform online today, and how creators in the music space can build an audience and turn it into real opportunities. Travis, thank you so much for joining us today. And just like the first question that I usually like asking is just like, I ask my guests to introduce themselves. So just who are you? What do you do, pretty much?
So my name is Travis Dykes. I am a musician, been a professional musician for over a decade, and I'm also a YouTuber, which is always so weird for me to say, but I'm a YouTuber, and I'm based out in Nashville, Tennessee, in the U.S.
Awesome. At what point did you feel like you were not just a musician, but you were also a content creator? Was there a moment and were you aware that you were going to become a content creator when you started doing this?
Honestly, not really. It really started when I was a kid. I used to always act like I was like uh, doing things on TV, cooking on TV, because my mom cooks and that's like her passion. And so back when I was a kid, I used to act like I was in like a cooking show. When I was cooking with my mom, I'd be like, and then we're gonna put this in there, whatever. And that was kind of like my kind of me acting. Content wasn't really a big thing when I was growing up. Like YouTube wasn't a thing. Social media and stuff wasn't a thing. And so for me, it was just like acting like I was like one of these cooking show, people like chefs on a cooking show. And so that was kind of like my beginning part of like, I guess at the time I didn't realize it was content creator or what that would be. That term wasn't a thing, but it was like me dabbling into, this is kind of fun to act like I'm on camera,
Yeah.
like and things like that. But then what happened over the years is that, obviously YouTube became a thing, social media became a thing. And I remember I was watching YouTube. YouTube was didn't have a ton of videos and things like that. And I saw somebody post something like bass clips and, music clips. And I was like, huh, I could actually learn stuff on here. And so like, I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. And so I start searching things or whatever. It wasn't a ton on YouTube at the time, but then I was like, you know what? I think I may have an idea of something I could, you know, post like, or, some kind of, help with somebody. Because really, when I started my channel, the whole point of it was to help bass players who were in like kind of the gospel world. And it wasn't like that I felt like I knew anything, but it was like something that helped me. Like it was like concepts and things. I was like, man, this helped me. Maybe somebody else would, like this or understand this or it may help them. And so that was when I first posted on YouTube. That was kind of where it started. It was like, man, maybe if I showed somebody else this concept, they could get something just like I did from it. And so that was kind of like the genesis or the beginning of the whole, content creator thing. And now, it's a big part of my whole life now.
Were you aware that you could make money back then, or was it something that happened later on?
Honestly, no, not even a clue. It was just fun for me. I was just like, oh man, I could throw, videos out here, whatever. Like it was, I hate to say it. I know everybody has all these crazy strategies and stuff of like
Yeah.
growing channels and all this kind of stuff. When I started, that was not even a thing. That wasn't a thought in my mind. I remember somebody had asked me, there because YouTube was becoming a more popular thing. There's like, oh, you have a YouTube channel? How many subscribers do you have? I think I posted some videos. I never kept up with my analytics, things like that.
Yeah.
And I remember I looked on my page and I was like, oh, I really quick, real brief, just like pulled it up and I was like, oh, I saw one and a two and I was like, oh, I got 12 subscribers. Cool, that's awesome. And then I went back a couple of days later and I looked, I was like, let me just go back to that page and see what, I had in there. I noticed that it wasn't a 12, it was 1.2K. And I was like, hold on, I have 1,200 people who are watching my videos? And that was the moment where I was just like, hold on, people are watching this? you know? And so, and then from then I found out like, oh, I need to turn on because I didn't realize you could make money with it, but
Yeah.
something popped up and it was like, "Hey, sign up for the partnership program or whatever." And I was like, "I don't know what this is, but okay." And I clicked it, and I had money like in my like account, and I was or like in my the estimated thing,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "Oh, you can make money from this?" And that was like kind of my thing of like, "Oh wow, okay, cool." And that was kind of where I started with it.
And how many subscribers were you able to do this full time? Do you remember?
Ooh, really, honestly, um, full time. mm, I honestly don't feel like. Well, I guess yeah, yeah. When I had about 100,000 subscribers, that was when I really the commitment level went from like um, this is a hobby to this is a career. Like I was like, okay, because for me, I didn't want to call myself a YouTuber, and I didn't want to do all these things because I was like, it's not making enough money for me to really call myself that. But then when I hit 100,000, it wasn't not like necessarily that the money just went crazy or anything like that. But it was enough to where it's like, okay, I could start saying no to some other things like in my
Yeah.
life, and it's not even like because I've noticed most people who really can make a full time living on YouTube is like about I think around a half a million subscribers. It just depends on the niche or industry you're in because sometimes your CPM rate or RPM could be like super high in a niche. I know people who are like under figure subscribers and they make over six figures, in finances, which is not for the music
Yeah.
niche isn't that, exactly. But around 100,000 is where I was like 100,000 subscribers is where I was like, you know what? I think I can really, make a living doing this. And that was the time I just pretty much committed. And now I've started developing revenue streams from different sources and things like that. And it's not just AdSense because I think some people think, oh, it's just AdSense that pays, you to be able to do this. No, it's a lot of things that you build outside of it. So, but yeah, that's about probably around 100,000.
In the music industry, what are the opportunities on social media to make money? Is it sponsorship? Because I know you just mentioned it's not only AdSense. If there's anyone watching and they actually want to get into this and they want to do music on YouTube, how can they make money?
Honestly, there's a lot of niches. Like it depends on what you are known for in content, on your content. Some people are known as a personality. I know a lot of people who are great on camera. They're hilarious. You could put it doesn't titles and thumbnails don't even make as big of a difference to them as far as like capturing people as much as they're
Yeah.
just their personality. Like there's a musician I watch, and literally his thumbnails are like, eh, but his personality is crazy, and so it's like so much fun. You want to watch all of. He's kind of that Emma Chamberlain type thing where it's just like
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm making food today," and that's the title, and it's like, what? It depends. This is the way I think about monetizing is like what is the thing that you're known for? Like for me, it was education. I
Yeah.
was educating people on bass and music and things like that, and I'm still educating people. And so with that, I have a little bit more of authority in my niche. I have a little bit more of like especially with bass and things like that. People will listen to my recommendations if I say, "Hey, this is the best bass under $500," or "This is the best whatever." And so the way that you can do that in my case is like um, by thinking about, okay, maybe I can make some money by recommending things that I truly like. So, like affiliate links and affiliate marketing is one way that I make money because because then of course it has to be stuff that I actually like. I'm not going to just, people are just not going to just, reach out to me and I'm just going to say
Yeah.
yes. But that is a huge part of the monetization process of like educators. It's like, hey, I'm going to recommend this book, and when they click that link, whatever purchase they make, you get a little commission from it. That is a huge one. And then another one that for musicians as well, that like specifically for musicians, is like presets and like effects packages and things like that. So when I say that, it's like there's like pedals and things like that are digital that you can create your own effects for, like your own like preset where it's like a certain effect that you use
Yeah.
that you've really spent time to dial in that you use or whatever. And you can sell that, and that is a great way, especially if you're somebody who performs a lot or somebody who people really like your playing of. Which, for me, one of my biggest video, I think it's still my biggest video on my channel, is me playing a bass cover. And so for most of my channel, a lot of my channel, I have a lot of videos that are bass covers that that people will watch for the performance aspect. And so when you have something that's performance aspect, then presets and things like that, that's a great way of monetizing. If it's education, affiliate marketing is a great way. Um, and so it's finding, for musicians, it's finding the things that you're good at and finding the things that people follow you for and finding a way to monetize kind of what are already the content is leading them to. You know, with education, it's leading them to want to ask you for advice or for recommendations. But if, and also for performance, it's asking you to, ooh, I want to sound like him. And so how can I sound like him? Oh, presets, you know, things like that, tracks, ways that you could practice, you know, that, and that's how you start to think about ways, of, at least for me, the ways you monetize
Yeah.
what you're doing, you know.
Is there like any specific moment for you that things changed completely, like overnight? Like one video that you posted and you woke up and then everything was different for you on social media?
Mm, let me see. There was a video, I'm trying to think, I think it may have been my, yeah, that, so the video I just talked about, there's a video where I did a bass cover of a song called
Yeah.
Love Theory by Kirk Franklin. And biggest, I think it has like over 3 million views right now. And it's just like, it was weird. The whole story of this video was just so crazy. Um, everybody, when the song came out, it was around the song when the song came out, and everybody who was a bass player or musician was covering the song. Like literally everybody was covering the song. And so like the best bass players out there and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so intimidating to try to do it. But it was such a fun song. It was so open and things like that. And so I was like, oh man, I really want to do a cover of this, but I'm really, really nervous and intimidated because there's so many people killing this. And so what I decided, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna sit on it, sit on it. And so it got into that point where the song wasn't really even new anymore, and everybody had done covers. And I was like, you know what, I need some content. Let me just do this. This just seems fun. And so I sat down and I just kind of like started fiddling with it, you know, just kind of playing through. And I was like, okay, cool. I think I'm just gonna play this like if I recorded the bass on it. And so that was kind of like my mindset. I was like, okay, if I record the bass on this, this is what I'll play. Literally sat down, and most times when I do bass covers, it's multiple takes. It's like maybe 6 takes or 7 takes, whatever. Because I just like I'm really meticulous and I want things to be perfect. You know, that for that song. I sat down, and on the first take, I was like, "Huh, I think I got it." And that was literally the first take is what I posted, and that video took off. And I remember I was looking at it, and it was one of those things too where it's like it was when the copyright stuff with YouTube and stuff was like starting to come up, and so it was monetized for like maybe like an hour or 2 hours, and then got copyright infringement because I was
Yeah.
playing like the original track or whatever. And so I never actually made any money on this song, or not a song, but on this cover.
Yeah.
But, but I remember that video did, man. I think I had. It was the first time it was before I had 100,000 subscribers, and so like I think that video hit like 50,000 views in like a day, and I was like, what is going on? And I remember looking at my analytics and I was just like, why am I getting so many subscribers? I remember from that video, I think I probably got 40 or 50,000 subscribers from that video. like from that video alone, which is just to me is just so
That's
at the time it's like
insane.
so wild for one video. And
Yeah.
the reason I knew that is because I wasn't getting those subscribers before that video. And I was also looking through some of the back end of the analytics and stuff. But yeah, that was the video that over time I'm still getting people who do covers of that video, which is so wild to me. Because now I don't even look the same. I was like 100 pounds heavier, and I don't even live in the same place anymore. And so yeah, that was a video that really was like a very impactful video.
Like whenever we're talking about creating content, it's just so easy getting into like this algorithm and being obsessed with all of this. Like whenever you're creating some sort of cover or just like any content that you create, uh, do you see yourself more as a content creator or as a musician? And how easy is it for you to get lost between those two things?
That is a great question, and I think this is where um, it has been something for I don't want to say struggle for me, but something that has been a huge thing in my mind as I'm creating content. Um, for me, I'm a musician first. I'm a
Yeah.
musician, like professional musician, traveling, touring, studio first, and then I am a content creator. Because I think sometimes people can be like, "Oh, this is just the circle I'm in right now," but I don't consider myself a musician first. Now, I will say I, the reason why I will say I definitely am a content creator is because I really enjoy making videos. I know a lot of my friends who are musicians and do the professional thing. They feel like they just have to make content to get more opportunities in music. For me, I genuinely just love making videos. And so that helps me to kind of like stay encouraged, stay, doing it even when it gets tough. But the balance of that for me is like who is watching me? Like musicians are watching me, professionals are watching me. It's crazy now, like when I travel, almost every time I go somewhere with an artist, the people like all the other artists is like musicians know my channel because the niche and the audience that I'm attracting are ones that who are actual musicians. They're ones that like they respect me in that way. And so because of that, I have to like that's the reason why for me I can't let go of the musician side because I love music. Music is my first love when it comes to, art and things like that. But that's the reason why you can't let go. I can't let go of that. And music's always going to be there. But having the balance between the two is very it's something that I think every creator who wants to get into music has to think about because if you become a creator, the issue is for me is like if I become a creator first, then the music suffers.
Yeah.
And then what starts to happen is that I started off as just a professional musician first, and
Yeah.
then creating from that. And so that's the reason why with lesson videos, things like that, when I teach bass or teach music, these are things that I've learned and things that I do currently, versus like, oh, this is a concept I heard of, which I think there's people who are like professors or theorists, I would say, where there's like, oh, here are theories, but I don't use any of these because I don't play. That's not, that's something that I always try to be aware of and not, um, make my content and make my, personality. Because I want people to realize or, see me as a musician, as an artist first.
Yeah.
And then the content is created from being an artist. It's like, okay, I'm going on tour with this artist and I'm doing this thing, I'm going whatever. I'm just giving you a peek in my life versus like I'm creating something to be entertaining, which
Yeah.
I mean, some of my current series, I'm creating something to be entertaining, but it's coming from a place of, I'm a musician, professional musician first. And that's always kind of been like, you can see it throughout a lot of my content, like beginner versus pro or, guess the pro musician, things like that, because this is the stuff that I'm connected to. So I think having a balance between that is important for anybody who's wanting to be a music creator. And so understanding that, because I think some people think it's like I need to be a content creator first and then a musician second, but it really is dependent on how you want people to see you. how you want your reputation to be in the future. Because sometimes you can lose respect if you if you go all in creator and negate the music side of it.
Yeah. For you, like what was the biggest opportunity that showed up in your career after you started posting on YouTube?
Ooh, in my career, I guess with music or
With
just like
music. Yeah, like
music.
how YouTube helped you with your music career. Like what was the
Mm,
biggest thing that happened that you're so thankful for?
you know, it gave me in music, it gave me a little bit more of a respectable name. Because sometimes things are hearsay, when it comes
Yeah.
to doing music in the music industry. It's like, oh well, this person played for this person, this person, this person, this person, and it's like, oh cool, they have names under the belt, but I don't really know if they're actually good. Like just because you've played with a whole bunch of people doesn't necessarily mean you're actually a good musician, good hang, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think what giving a sneak peek into my life and kind of being a little bit more transparent is giving respect in a way and giving me opportunities from people that they were just like, oh man, I think I could trust this guy because I see the way he is, just like with his content, through his content. And so I've had a few opportunities from like people reached out to me on my website or on Instagram asking me to play with them or sub in for whatever artist it is, and it was Grammy award winning artists, like huge artists like that I was able to I've been able to play with because they've seen my content. They saw my content. I remember this guy reached out to me and he was just like, hey man, I've been following you for years, and dude, I would love to get you to play with us with there's a group called the Gaither Vocal Band, which they're like a huge Southern gospel. Like it's a little niche, but they've won like multiple Grammys, tons of Grammys and stuff, and they wanted me to come play on a recording that was like it was like a video shoot, but recording thing for them, and it was like, what? I didn't know anybody in this crew. I didn't know anybody like, and it was based off of the content I've been creating over the years. And so that's this is the beauty of it, of doing these kind of things is like, and also it kind of also could be the scary thing of it is like people can know who you really are a little bit, you know, which I mean some people put on a face, but anybody who knows me or met me in person knows that like what I am on camera is literally what I am in person. So
What is that
yeah.
experience like for you? Like when people come up to you and people know who you are, like how do you deal with this parasocial relationship?
Honestly, some people have a hard time with it, and I mean let me just preface this. I am no celebrity. Like I'm not like as soon as I leave my house there's paparazzi everywhere. Like this is not that at all. But sometimes I've gotten to the point now when I go into like a music specific location like music store like Guitar Center or something like that. Almost every time I go into a music store, I'm recognized. Or if I go into
Yeah.
on tour or anything, somebody recognizes me from YouTube just about every single time now. Um, but what I honestly I've learned, and I think I've just learned from people that I know who, because I play behind a lot of celebrities, like musicians and things like that, and seeing them and how they handle fame and handle the parasocial relationship of it uh, has helped me to understand like, okay, this is a part of this. Do you truly want this? Because I think sometimes people get, especially in YouTube, they're like, oh yeah, I'm just doing this to make a living because I don't know what else to do. And then they don't realize, hey, when you do this, actually, you're going to have people kind of like know things a little bit about you, or like want to take a picture with you a lot in public and things like that. And so for me, I enjoy it because I know what comes with this. And I think sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, why don't take a picture with me, whatever. But I realize with me, I'm like, okay, I ask for this. You know what I'm saying? By putting myself out here, I'm asking for this. And I realize that. So when people do come up to me, sometimes I could be tired. There's times where I've been in other countries and like I've been like super bombarded with a lot of people, and things like that. But I realized that this is something like for them, you know, for me, it's just a moment, like I'm in that moment, but for them, it could be everything. It's like this is their only chance you know, see somebody from YouTube in person, you
Yeah.
know. And so for me, I'm very grateful for it. And so I try to, you know, not be that person where it's just like, no, I don't want to take any pictures, blah, 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 blah. Just because I just realized they're the reason that I'm even paying my bills right now. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that's yeah, I would say that that's the way I at least think about it. And so I enjoy when people, you know, come up to me in public.
For you, like, what separates being a creator from just like what I'm trying to say is, let me try to rephrase this, but do you think most musicians actually misunderstand how content works, and how much of it do you think should be personality too?
Mm,
Or do you think pure talent is enough? Like if you're good, you go in front of the cameras, you play the
mm,
bass, and then you're
mhm.
gonna do amazing.
You know what? I think talent is only a small piece. There's too many people that I know who are in music, especially, who are so talented. I live in Nashville. Pretty much everybody in that, like most people in Nashville, have some kind of musical background because
Yeah,
everybody moves here to have a career in music.
yeah,
Um, but the people who make it are not the people who are just talented. There's so many talented people, but it's the people who work hard and are diligent in their work. As far as like people who are musicians trying to create content, um, it really takes a lot more work ethic than I think musicians think.
yeah,
Because what they're trying to do is boost their you know their career. They're trying to get more opportunities to play on gigs, tours, sessions, all this kind of stuff. But then what happens if you're just doing it for that? When those start to come, your content career just goes because that's not like because you're not being diligent in it. You're just like, oh man, it opened a door, cool. Like they open some doors, okay, cool. But then what happens later if you're not careful and you're not, you know, working towards a bigger goal is that you start to lose opportunities or you're starting to want to retire and things like that and you can't because you didn't keep this up. You know, you didn't keep, and that was part of the
yeah,
reason why I started. One of the reasons why I got serious about my channel is because I was like, I am going to do music till the day I die. I love music. It's my heart. But I want to have the choice on what opportunities I take. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, for a lot of people who do music full time, they have to accept things based on just the money and not because of the, you know, I want to play this music. I want to go in this thing or whatever. They're just having to say yes to it, even though it may suck. You know what I'm saying? And so with me, that's part of, you know, this idea and this whole thing of like, I'm trying to give myself more time, taking, you know, more time to choose and not have always have to have a yes season because I think sometimes people when you start on something you have a yes you have to have a yes season because people got to know who you are, you got to get experience,
yeah,
but then eventually if you're growing in the right direction it goes from a yes season to a no season. And so for me, what that arc looks like is like, okay, I've gotten to this place where I'm like, I don't have to depend on every opportunity, so I can start saying no to the things I don't want to do and yes to the things I
yeah,
do want to do. And so I think whenever people are musicians, they're trying to be content creators, they don't think about the future like that. They just think about the immediate and the now. And they don't think about how do I sustain this. They think about, oh, how can I just blow this up as fast as I can. I think that's a lot of people
yeah,
really because there's like how can I blow this up as fast as I can, but they don't think about why you know why am I doing this, what is my goal in the future. And so I definitely say if there's a thing that musicians could really, I guess, could help them to do better is to realize, okay, why am I doing this? Take a deeper think of like, why am I doing this? Why am I creating content? And because then you won't be let down or you won't be, you know, like you'll know what success looks like. Because I think sometimes success to people looks different. And so you have to determine that at the
yeah.
beginning and then create content from there.
Have you noticed any difference in approaching this said success on different platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram? Is it the same audience? Do you approach it the same way? Do you have a different expectation for each? What is it the process? What is the process like for you?
So I think every platform has different audiences or different content that works for that platform.
Yeah.
For me, I used to try to splice together things from, well, not even splice together, really just take like little clips from YouTube and just put it on my social media. And it would be like, oh man, this killed on YouTube. And then so I put it on Instagram and it just flopped. It was like, what is going on? And the way is what I started to notice is like, if you are a user of the platform, then you have an understanding of what is capturing to people and audiences. And so for me, I think about myself as on Instagram. What content do I like on Instagram? What makes me stop? And so once I started to figure out, okay, what makes me stop on Instagram versus YouTube, or versus Facebook or versus TikTok, then it's just like, okay, this is the reason why this is too long. It needs to be, instead of like for YouTube, 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds is what your intro. You need to hook them in with that first 20, 30 seconds. On Instagram, it's the first 3 seconds. You know what I'm saying? 1 to 3 seconds. And so knowing that change is like, okay, I need to splice something that's going to capture them in the first second, versus, oh, I've got to wait, 10, 20, 30 seconds before I get, to this place where it's interesting. It's like, no, you got to capture them, hook them in right there. And so for me, that's kind of how I approach it, because my audience on Instagram is a little different in that sense, because now, like my bass covers, actually, this is a great example. My bass covers, I used to do them on YouTube and, do a whole little 3-4 minute, whatever the entire song is. But once I stopped doing bass covers on YouTube, what I started doing is taking just snippets of me playing songs and just posting it on Instagram, because people like that. Because on Instagram, when you're scrolling and you see like just a clip of the good part, that's all people really want nowadays. They don't want the
Yeah.
entire thing. They don't want to hear, oh wow, how you got from the beginning to the song to the end of the song. Like, they could just be like, just give me the part where you do the slap thing, And so I started noticing that audience on my Instagram was different than my audience on YouTube. My YouTube audience was like, hey, I want to sit down, learn something, be educated, be entertained. And then on Instagram is like, ooh, I want to be entertained in a way that's like, that's just the good parts. I don't have to sit down and be here for a long period of time. I just want that. And so I noticed that on Instagram, covers do way better than, like, snippets of covers at least do way better than on even YouTube and Facebook and certain things, which Facebook actually is the same. It kind of is very related, same as Instagram in that way. But yeah, I would say the audiences can be a little different because they have a different avenue of the way they're getting their content.
If you're a content creator and editing is eating up your week, pay attention. VidPros is a professional video editing service built specifically for creators, not random freelancers and not AI tools. You get a dedicated human editor who learns your style, pacing, and brand from day one. You film your content and upload the raw footage. Your editor handles everything: cuts, captions, color grading, sound design, and short form clips. We deliver everything through Google Drive and Frame.io, so you can leave timestamped feedback and request and limited revisions. We start with a $100 trial week that includes 10 hours of editing. Go to vidpros.com and start your $100 trial today. Stop editing and start growing. If someone is actually starting YouTube today, should they focus on short form content or long form content?
This is actually a great question. Whenever, YouTube started, long form content was like the only thing. Short form content wasn't a thing. But really, when you think about it, at least the way I think about it, is that long form content is, this sounds so bad, but like, it's for the future. Long form content is something where it's going to last you a long time. Short form is going to last you a short time.
Yeah.
Not that you can't do like short form and have a great career with short form, But for most people who are truly, truly making a full-time living with short form, they are the top. You know what I'm saying? Like they are like making getting millions of views, things like that. And that's the way that they're able to continue. But eventually, what happens with anybody who does short form is that they eventually go back to long form. They go to long form because unless you stay at the top the entire time,
Yeah.
it's going to be really hard for you to create a career in doing content. And so that's the reason why, like, okay, long form to me is where I put most of my time and energy. Short form, I do like focus a little bit of time. I think you do need to have a bit of both because you get a different set of audiences, a different set of access. But I will, if I had to choose the one, one or the other to focus most of my time on, it'd be long form. And I'll tell you why, that is as well, is that not only do you have casual viewers and people who watch, but you have people who become fans. Okay. Because that's the thing is like short form content, most times you see a lot of stuff and you're just like, oh, I like it a little bit, I like it enough to watch it or
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm not really a fan. But whenever you give people more time and more access to you, you create more actual fans. And that's the thing is like, I've met people before and they're just like, man, I've been watching your channel for years. You've literally taught me how to play bass. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a fan. That's somebody
Yeah.
who's dedicated. That's someone who cares. But then I meet people who watch me on Instagram. They're like, oh yeah, I see your stuff on Instagram. It's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? Like the difference there is like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
dude, you've been a part of my life for so long. You know, I'm gonna whatever you put out there for me to buy, I'm gonna buy it because I care. You've given me so much, and I care about what you're doing. That's the reason why podcasts are so great with conversion.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the reason why, like with long form versus short form, is if you take the time to learn and really dive into long form, that's going to be the thing that sustains you. Because even with, let me give you actually some numbers. So like even with the, I told you with short form, it takes millions of views and hundreds of thousands of views at least per post to kind of keep you, getting a good amount of sponsorship deals, things like that, and just things like because that's really the way you would make it on like
Yeah.
short form. Um, but with long form, you could be in a niche. You could be not have to get millions of views every video and still be able to have a sustainable income. You know, and so that's the thing is that those views are very different because you think about like TV and film, the ones that make the most money are the shows and the things that people are rewatching and rewatching. That those are the ones that you gain those followers. Like when I watch The Office
Yeah.
or things like that, and I rewatch it and rewatch it. That when you create content where a person has more time with you and
Yeah.
more, they feel like you're a part of their life, they're going to want to either buy something that you recommend or do something to kind of help you keep going. Now with short form, there's so much of it now because it's so easy to do. I don't feel like there's a single short form creator where I'm like, I will buy whatever you recommend. I will, if you release a product or merch, I want to buy it. Like there's not a short form creator I personally know that I would do that for, but there's long form creators that I've already bought stuff from. Like
Yeah.
there's cooking creators and stuff because my hobby's cooking. I've bought their cookbook, all this kind of stuff because I watch it on long form. And so the reason I say that is because a lot of people put a lot of stock in the short form, and I think it's great to start, get your confidence up. I think like definitely getting yourself off the ground with creating content is great to start with short form, but eventually, if you put all your eggs in the short form basket, you're going to eventually be trying to go to long form. So I would just say start with long form, get it going. Even if you have short form as well, put most of your time into creating long form content that people love.
And is there any content that you created that you were very passionate about, but it didn't work at all? It flopped. And is there a content that you didn't like that much and it worked really well on social media? Does that happen often?
Ooh, that yes, that happens. That happens a lot. Honestly, I'm trying to think. Well, I'm trying to think the when I did bass covers, that was one thing that I used to love to do a lot, and it flopped. Like because the with the rise of short form kind of killed covers for me,
Yeah.
and also the copyright infringement thing because it used to be where you can share like the AdSense revenue that came in with that, but now it's just like nothing. You get zero, and so it kept the even though I love doing them and really have fun playing, it was like I can't sustain this over a long period of time, and so that's the reason why my cover series, like when I started doing covers, started to go downhill because it was like it's not worth my time, even though I love doing it. Now,
Yeah.
one that I kind of it was I liked it, but I didn't really want to continue. It was doing bass reviews, or not even bass reviews, just gear reviews, like straight up like gear reviews. Like, hey, I'm gonna read this manual and I'm gonna tell you what the exact hertz things are, all these little details, all this kind of stuff. It was cool, and I did some videos that people still go back to. They're evergreen type videos, so people go back to them even years later. But those type videos, I just really they were not I didn't really on my end of it. I didn't really like doing them because I just felt like it wasn't me, you know. Because if I go to, I definitely go to people when I'm looking up a product and trying to, get feedback on something, learn
Yeah.
what something does. But for me as a personal, like, is this something that, you know, makes me feel fulfilled and makes me feel like excited? No. It was one of those things. I did my first one and I was like, man, this is so much work and I don't really care this much about all these details that don't matter to me. I only care about the things that are actually going to affect me when I get this product. And so that's the reason why now I create a series where if I review a product, I use it in the moment and show you how I will use it versus giving you all the details about, oh, this is, you could do this thing, you could do this thing, you could do that thing, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
with it versus like, this is how I would use it, And so that's a whole nother thing with creating series that you want to do, because sometimes the audience will want something and you're like, oh man, it took me forever to do this and I really hated the process and it got views. So most people would think, oh, naturally I should do this. I need to continue doing this. But you also have to think about the longevity. How long can I do this? Is this going to make me feel like I'm doing a 9 to 5 job that I hate, pushing buttons and data entry, whatever type of job, and it's making me not feel fulfilled? You know what I'm saying? So that's something I thought about, and I think every creator needs to think about that when it comes to finding series that worked well versus didn't work well. Is like finding that that kind of side where it's like, okay, does this fulfill me, or is this just a drain to me?
Are you always checking the analytics or are you mostly just like instinct and strategies?
You know, I do check my analytics. I try not to go too deep a lot all the time. Now, I do. The reason why I have to check my analytics is because I have a little small team of people that help me with editing, thumbnails, producing, and the reason why I check analytics now is to make sure that we're improving. It's not necessarily like every video has to be a 70% retention rate, or anything like that. But it's seeing where the dips are in the video. Okay, where did they start? Where did most people stop watching? Okay, it's when I did this thing. Okay, maybe we try something different next time. Or, you know, what's my click-through rate? Is my thumbnail reaching, other people in a wider audience? Is this series reaching in a wider audience? Actually, there's a video I just did. I started the series last year. It's called Can You Guess? And basically, I bring in professional musicians to guess other professional musicians out of a lineup of 5 musicians that are like on like in front of you. It's kind of like a game show type thing, like the judges and then the contestants. But I just did one with guitar, It was like, can you guess the guitar player? Who in this lineup of five people is a professional guitar player versus just like a regular guitar player? And I remember I looked at my analytics. I've done this series. This is my third video in the series, and it's done well every time. All of them hit over 100,000 views, you know, whatever. But I this week I was looking because I'm doing something that's outside of bass, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if the audience wants it, because this is just a little something I've learned with this is the audience actually is the person that approves your content. You know, that's you have to. That's the reason why it's a big thing. Is like, okay, does the audience approve this? Are they gonna let me do it? They're pretty much your, you know, your label or whatever. Just like, can you do this or not? You know, and so whenever I put that video out, it actually, I think it hasn't even been a week and it's already at 137,000 views. And I was like, oh wow, and this was a guitar one. It wasn't bass. And I was like, okay, so this tells me that the audience wants this. And then also I looked on my analytics, talking about analytics, and it said like a little thing. It was like, wow, this your video, this is appealing to a wider audience than your normal videos do. And so that told me a lot with just looking at analytics of like, oh, okay, this is this series is reaching more than what I normally would reach. And so this is the reason why looking at analytics is important, because now it's telling me this series is reaching more than just bass players, is reaching more than just my core audience. And so if I want to, you know, continue to get more impressions and more people watching my stuff that's not my core audience or the new viewers, then I need to be looking at this series for that. And so that's the reason why when I look at analytics and stuff, it's for that type of, you know, future looking at, okay, how can we improve? Where is this content direct? Like, what's the audience for this particular series or format? And things like that. So I'm not like one of those people who's like, I'm looking at the analytics every single day.
Yeah.
But and I'll say this to end this, but I don't think every creator, and creators have to create this or realize this about themselves, is you have to give yourself breaks. You have to give yourself lulls away from YouTube, because you can get on your phone every single day, scroll through all the comments, or, you know, look at the analytics every single day and never have a break. The way I approach, you know, having boundaries with YouTube is that on the weekends I do not check anything for YouTube unless like I have to do something, somebody needs an approval for something. That's the only time. But I really try to keep hard boundaries. When Friday night hits, I'm done. Next time I look at analytics will be on Monday if I need to.
Yeah.
And because I think sometimes people are just like, they have it on their phone and they're just like checking every day and it's just consuming them. For me, I have to have a break from it, because it could be a weight more so than, like, you know, freeing to you.
But if you were to give one advice to people to stand out in the music niche, what would that one advice be?
There's a concept that I've been talking about for a while now, which is like your unfair advantage, you know, which is it's a book that I can't remember the authors of it, but it's a great book talking about how everybody has their unfair advantage based on like where they are, what they're doing. And if I was to say anything with music, there's somebody who's in music and they want to become a content creator or they want to create more content, I think with this is think about what you have unique access to that not everybody has access to. For me, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. There is musicians. You could throw a rock and hit a musician. Okay. There's Victor Wooten lives here in Nashville, like, which is one of the best bass players in the world. He lives here in Nashville. So many incredible musicians are in Nashville. And so and I have a lot of studios here. There's a lot of music stores here. There's a lot of access to concerts
Yeah.
and things like that here. And so for me, I'm thinking about, okay, my unique advantage is that I live in Nashville. So how can I create content based on this unique advantage I have? You know, and the other thing is that I'm a professional musician. I travel and I tour and I do sessions. And so that's a unique thing that I have that not everybody has. You know, that I have this unique advantage of like, okay, I can show behind the scenes and stuff, but not everybody has those opportunities. And so I think finding what is that is unique to you, you know, in your life that you can exploit a little bit for your content can help you, you know, find what it is that you want to do because there's so much in music you can do. There's so much that everybody else is doing. Like, you know, you could just go online and just be like, oh, I'm just going to copy this person. But honestly, the best way is like, okay, what am I uniquely doing right now in my life? Like if let's say you're in a place that's not in Nashville, Tennessee. Like I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama, and so Alabama, the music scene there is nothing like Nashville at all. But that may be where a lot of people are, you know. And so like you could be like, you know, I'm in the music industry in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, you know, and be like, oh, cool. This is me doing a gig on the weekend at this bar or venue or whatever, and that could be your content because that's where you uniquely
Yeah.
are. Because with me, I'm going to be on doing professional industry things, but for you, you may appeal to a audience that I don't have. You know, you may appeal to something that people who are just like, oh man, I could do that, or man, I could find a way to do that. You know, inspire and create that based off of what you're uniquely around and what
Yeah.
you kind of have an advantage with.
Is there anything that you would do differently if you were to start from zero?
Yes, there would be one thing, and I would focus more time on creating series than individual videos.
Yeah.
Because I think at one time I was just trying to copy what's going to go viral, you know, what's going to be like you know, what's going to hit a million views or what's going to, you know, get me the most views possible. But later, after starting, I started to realize series is is what has longevity and what converts fans, and then what also is what people are attracted to. Because when you look at a TV series or TV show or whatever, that show can be rewatched. People love it if you have such a good show, but bad shows or one-off videos, you don't really go back to most times.
Yeah.
You know, series you do, like The Office or Modern Family or, you know, all these different ones. I'm like, I'm watching that series multiple times over the years, you know. But for one video, one like a Key and Peele sketch or something, which Key and Peele, I mean, they're the best sketch comedy sketch people. But I'm not going back to I'm not always going back to a Key and Peele sketch. I'm going back to a TV show series. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to what I would have done differently, I would have taken more time at the beginning and like really tried to hammer out and figure out what series that people are wanting from me in on my channel sooner. Because now only in the past couple of years I've been really honing in on that, um, and so that would I feel like if I were to do that sooner, my channel would be like 10 times further than it is now. But this, you know, it is that genesis of and that whole like transformation of as a creator, you know, as well as like okay, you do have to kind of make mistakes for you
Yeah.
to actually realize the importance of it. So yeah, I would say that.
I mean, and also like your name is your own business now. You're a business owner. So I know that the mindset of a business owner is really important for you. You have to always think about that side too. How much of being like a business owner helped you in your career, like on YouTube? And what other things are you doing outside of YouTube that helps in your career? I know you probably like play some gigs and you're always in the studio, but other than that, like, is there anything else that you're producing right now?
Yeah. So first, I'll say this about um, being a creator and just being business minded is that you are creating a business,
Yeah.
and I think people really separate that or don't like think about that. But you are creating a business if you are a content creator and you want to do this for a living. Because I'll tell you this, if there's not going to be any financial benefit for me in the next, you know, whatever in the future, then I'm it's going to be hard for me to continue to do this, you know. And so you have to be business minded in this. It's like, okay, all right, because when I create series and stuff, I'm thinking about, okay, what kind of products could I make from this? What kind
Yeah.
of things could I do to supplement outside of YouTube, outside of just like AdSense and things like that? Because I want to be able to support my family, pay my bills. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And
Fair.
from that, so business, having a business mind is just part of this, and
Yeah.
it's okay if you want to do it for fun. That's totally fine too. Just don't have an expectation that it's going to, like, make sure it stays fun. Don't think about it like that. But if you want to create a career in this is a business. You have to think about it as such. Now, for me, when it comes to financially, like what I do, the things I produce outside um, of YouTube to kind of help financially, things like that, you know, I know I do. I'm a producer, so I record and produce like music and things like that, help people release stuff, which I've kind of pulled back a little bit on that in recent future so I can put more time and effort towards YouTube. Um, but I tour and I play on gigs and with artists, things like that. I do studio sessions. I have a Patreon, a live bass class that I do monthly, and that sometimes put some extra content and things on Patreon, just for people to kind of help them with bass playing and also just resources that can help them. Um, and then I'm also a music director at my church as well. And so those are some things I do outside of that. And then with YouTube, some things I produce outside of YouTube as well is I have products like tracks. I make like practice tracks and things like that to help people to practice and be able to have something to play with and learn. I have a book, a book that a published book that with Hal Leonard. That's a bass book teaching people how to learn how to play bass without a teacher. And
I'll
so,
read that.
yeah, yeah, literally that was a really fun book to do because that's how I learned. I learned bass without a teacher,
Yeah.
and so that was me kind of putting that together and doing that. But yeah, those are just like some different aspects of that I do, and I think people, if they want to create, if y'all want to create a career out of this, um, you have to think about how can I generate money not just from YouTube, but from other places outside of it, because YouTube is only one aspect. AdSense is only one aspect. AdSense is not really something I use necessarily to push my business per se. Like I'm not that, because that number is fluctuates so much. Is like you can't. There's times where I've like, man, I've got $5,000 in AdSense, and then the next month it's like 1,000. It's like what? Like, and so it fluctuates so much, is that it's not really a dependable number to
Yeah.
create a business off of. And so you have to, diversify and create a mix, of things to help you push your business, be able to help you hire, think about sponsorships, things like that. And yeah, so that's honestly what I would say, and that's what I've done with my things outside of YouTube.
And if someone is watching this and they want to do exactly what you've done and they want to be where you are now, what's the first step that they should take? This is my final question, so we can leave like people a little bit inspired.
Honestly, get good at something, and that means that could, I know that could mean a lot of different things, but I think a lot of people online just think you just get on here and you just say stuff and you just regurgitate something you heard in a book, and
Yeah.
you don't really have a skill in anything, you don't have experience in anything. That's because people aren't getting good at things. They're just like, oh, I could just act like I'm in a podcast and like turn myself in this direction and record from this direction and make it sound like I'm in a podcast and say something, and people think, and they'll listen to me. you know that's not always the case, and honestly you'll lose people. But get good at something. Get
Yeah.
good. If you get good at something, then people will want to gain knowledge from you. Like for me, I felt like I got good at playing music. That was what I got good at. And then from getting good at music, I became a content creator from that. You know, I started exploiting those things that I got good at. And I think that's the reason why some people don't grow fast, because they haven't gotten good at something. And so whatever it is, if it's music, if it's, you know, art, if it's beauty, if it's fashion, whatever it is that you're trying to pursue, get good at it off camera before you get on camera. And sometimes it doesn't mean you have to be the best at it before you get on camera. You can I definitely learned over the years on camera and gotten better every time I've posted. But before I even started, I already had knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to go out there and get that experience, because then not only will you gain the trust of people, but people will actually get something from what you're putting out, instead of, you know, just junk food content, which everybody's putting out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to
Yeah.
put out junk food content. You want to put out stuff that people can be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to come back to this in whatever years from now, you know, that's actually good. But the only way you get there is if you get good at something.
That's great advice. And honestly, Travis, thank you so much for doing this. I know it was a little bit of a messy recording process today. We had a lot of technical issues, but you were so nice about this and so helpful. So thank you so much for doing this. And if there's anything you'd like to promote, your social media, anything, just feel free. This is your moment.
Oh man. I would say definitely go check out my book. It's called DIY Bass. It's in conjunction with Hal Leonard. That's a bass book if you're interested in bass. But something I definitely want to promote right now is I have some new series on my channel. Can You Guess? The Can You Guess series, where I have people guessing musicians. I talked about it earlier. Definitely go check out that series if you're a musician. It is a lot of fun, and I would love to, you know, hear you guys' feedback and just kind of, you know, showcase that to you guys so y'all can have some fun at home.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
If there's one takeaway from this video, it's this. In today's music industry, the artists who win are the ones who understand content, build an audience, and create opportunities beyond just their talent. Subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!